Hi, and welcome to another episode of the all new TTown 411 Report. I'm your host, Darren McKinstry. We're getting ready to bring up my good friend Mike Wilson on the program with us. We're broadcasting live on Soundbooth Radio 106.1 and Soundbooth TV. Um, Mike, are you there? I'm trying to pull you in. Are you in the back, Mike?
I am.
It's not showing you. Let's see where it's showing you at. How's your night been going, Mike?
That's been pretty good, Daryl. How was yours?
Good, good. Want to say happy Valentine's to all the people out there. I mean, just can't say happy Valentine to the women these days. You have to say it to everybody.
Say everybody. That's right.
To
Okay.
everybody.
I heard everybody with their magic bow. And arrows this week, but
Okay.
who knows?
Well, I got you. Well, tell them how they can sound in on Soundbooth Radio and Soundbooth TV, Mike.
Good thing, Daryl. Check us out on the radio side of Soundbooth Radio. Just go to your iOS or your Google Play Store. Download the Live 365 app. Once you download that app, then type in the search bar Sound Booth Radio 106.1. That'll get you on with us on the radio side of Sound Booth Radio. And check us out on the video side of Sound Booth Radio. Just go to your Facebook or go to YouTube, type in Sound Booth Radio 106.1 or Michael K. Wilson, and that'll get you on with us on the live program.
Okay. Well, our very own Miss Veronica Taylor is chiming in with us, and she's going to give us the COVID update. Veronica, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How's
Okay.
everybody doing? Happy
Good.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
All right, the COVID-19 report for today, Valentine's Day, February 14th, is I'll let y'all know that DCA, I didn't know, maybe they had tinkered with the mask policy a little bit, but I did see that where last month they started back reporting weekly
Mm-hmm.
because of the increase in COVID and flu cases,
Mm-hmm.
but a couple of times they have reported, thankfully, the cases have gone down some. So right now, as it stands at DCH, I'll do that DCH report since they are giving one once a week right now. And when they stop, I'll go back to the Alabama Department of Health for the whole state. But as of right now, they're requiring that everybody still wear a mask, visitors, workers, anybody who's coming into the facility. And they want you to provide your own mask now. So please don't forget, if you're going in there to see somebody or to do any type of business, pay bill or whatever, make sure that you have your mask on because from the way this sounds is that they want you to provide your own mask.
Hmm.
And I will say with this, y'all, pay attention to your bills when you go to medical facilities. Because as y'all know, in the past, it's always been like, if you get a Band-Aid, they charge you for a box. You know, I learned that years ago watching an Oprah show. And where they started to say maybe not all areas, but a lot of places will charge you for a box. If you use a gauze, they may charge you for the box. And if you request your bill, an itemized copy of your bill, and you see that that has happened, you can dispute it. Now, whether they will adjust it or not, I guess depends on the facility. But I really do think that that's unfair. Congress really does need to. The only ones who can control the insurances in these hospitals, I feel like is Congress, maybe even your state Congress, but more importantly on the federal level, because it tends like they complain about the insurance, they don't like the Affordable Care Act, they don't like certain insurances, they just want, and when you go into a facility, you have to pay your doctor, of course, you have to pay the hospital, and you have to pay any equipment that they use to treat you, but then to charge someone a box for one band-aid, I mean, they break down everything else. I feel like they can break down the prices to one band-aid and charge you for whatever you use for one gauze. If it came down to a cotton ball, if they can break down for everything else, they should be able to do that. Because now they're even charging people for PPE. Like I said, we went to the dentist and there was a new $20 charge. And I said, what's this for? It was for gloves, y'all. charge you for gloves. That's the price of a box of gloves. But they said that it was for the gloves, for the goggles, and all this stuff, with C-19 and everything. So just be aware, just check your bills. If you can dispute something, try to dispute it. So that's the COVID-19 update. There are 12 people right now in DCH positive for COVID-19. As far as the flu, because they're updating with the flu as well, there's 5 or fewer with the flu. Tuscaloosa County remains in the high risk area, and they're also reporting for Fayette County. And Fayette County was high last week and the past couple of weeks, but fortunately, Fayette has gone down. So Fayette County has, yeah, they're in a substantial range right now. The monkeypox will update tomorrow with the CDC, and the influenza update will come tomorrow as well. They update on Wednesdays. I think one of them may even start updating on Fridays, but I know they don't update until Wednesday and Friday. So right now, Alabama is still 187 with monkeypox. As far as the flu virus, it's still at high, but it's coming down. So that's a good thing. So again, everybody, just be safe. Distance, wear your mask. Um, Especially if you're in a large crowd. It doesn't matter if you're inside or outside. If you're in a small crowd, kind of wear it accordingly to however you feel you're comfortable. But again, just kind of just check things. It's just when things happen, it seems like society takes advantage of people when things happen. It's like they're trying to get every little dime back that may have been dispersed out during the pandemic. And technically, the pandemic has not been declared over.
Right. Well, we thank you for that valuable information, Ms. Rhonda Taylor. We're gonna take a
You're
quick.
welcome.
We got a quick. If you want to go ahead and, I don't have those flyers you sent me. I hadn't had a chance to download them. But if you want to go ahead and tell people about them, right quick, the hiring thing.
Oh, but DCH hiring. Yes, let me check those dates again. Um, okay, December. No, not December. I'm sorry. February 16th. This Mardi Gras at DCH. It's called at DCH We Stand By You, which is a play on Mardi Gras. So Mardi Gras themed nurse recruitment event will be happening February 16th from 5:30 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. at Harrison Galleries on 2515 University Boulevard. So again, nurse recruitment event is for being held February 16th, which is Thursday, from 5:30 to 7:30. I think that may have been something has been. I'm gonna check on that too before we get out the air because something has been rescheduled. I think that may be the one that's been rescheduled due to the potential for inclement weather on Thursday.
Okay. Okay.
So I'll recheck that. I'm thinking about that, and I just saw this a notification come from WVUA on Facebook about the weather, and it reminded me that that one I think may have been rescheduled until March. But there is another one on February 22nd. There's a certified nursing assistant CNA hiring event on February 22nd from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. And that one will be held. Trying to see where that one will be held. I think that one will be held. Join us at our CNA hiring event on February 22nd at the Fed Medical Center. So at Fed Medical Center, any CNAs, certified nursing assistants who may be looking for a job in that area or in this area and you're willing to travel, Fed will be having a hiring event. DCH will be having a hiring event at its Fed Medical Center location from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on February 22nd, which I think that is next Wednesday. Not tomorrow, but next Wednesday.
Okay. Okay. Well, we just want to go ahead and get this in here about our disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is also is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use tip balance in favor of fair use. And as always, we want to let everybody know that the opinions expressed in this presentation are not my personal opinion, and must not be construed as representing the opinion of any institution with which I am, Mike, or Veronica, or have been affiliated in our professional field of business. I want to say hello to Miss Patricia Sunshine Williams. Thank you for chiming in, and everybody else that has chimed in with us on the program. Um, you know, Morgan said, just because I disagree with you does not mean that I hate you. We need to relearn that in our society. So I just thought that was a nice little statement that he made on that part. But tonight we're talking about um, the results of the tax referendum. And I don't know if Veronica, you have them all available yet.
No, I didn't. I work today, so I haven't kept up with well, it says it's supposed to, that's a no. I had kept up with it. I was curious to know, but it said I'm looking right now, and WVUA says as of 36 minutes ago, Tuscaloosa County residents overwhelmingly voted no. So
Okay.
it's overwhelmingly voted no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Last time I seen it was 85% at one time saying no, so it probably got all
Wow.
the votes.
Oh, are you surprised? Did that surprise you, Daryl? Because
No,
it kind of surprised me.
it didn't
Yeah,
surprise me.
yeah.
It didn't surprise me.
We actually conversed about that a little bit.
Hold on. What did you say?
I think I called it last week that it wasn't gonna pass. I said last week I knew it wouldn't. When you start talking about raising property taxes,
Uh,
I haven't seen a county yet that's for raising the property tax. They're willingly to accept the 1 cent sales tax over raising the property tax of their own personal property because Tuscaloosa County property carries a lot of weight around here. I guess you could say. I mean, some people don't want to see their property go up $300 or $500 more a year.
well,
So,
that's why I asked you because I know, being a former candidate for the seat in the county,
mm-hmm,
I just was wondering, did it surprise you? Because I know you got to know more people probably during in the county during that time.
mm-hmm,
You got to talk to more people during that time. And I don't know if you guys like maybe even address something like the increase of property tax. Because I think sometimes it really doesn't just come up until it comes up. So I was just curious to know what you thought and if it was a surprise to you and if maybe, the conversation that you had with some of the county residents
hey,
was it a surprise to you or not.
that is a key component. Raising the property taxes is a now that's I would say that's just like a no. I just put it that way. That's a no when it comes to putting that to a vote to the people. Um,
Well, I'm surprised, but I didn't know it would be so overwhelmingly. Like I didn't know.
I hadn't seen a county yet that Shelby County, different areas. I hadn't seen them other areas consider that. Like I said, they'd rather see the 1 cent sales tax increase before they, and that's probably what you're going to see. That's what you're probably going to see. An additional 1 cent from the county um, pinpoint. And but here's the key to that, if I ain't mistaken. If the county do raise it 1 cent sales tax, then the city and the county schools are going to be um, inclusive in getting portions of that funding. So
Mm-hmm.
it's that's why I was curious. I think I asked the last show. Even though the city people within the city was there were they were not voting, but I was curious were their property tax going to be inclusive in this vote because in this and I think it was going to be that their property tax was going to go up. I don't think it was just going to say, oh, because you live in the city. No, this was a countywide vote, but it was particularly for the county residents. But I don't know. I didn't get the information from anybody, but I still thought the people that live within the city limits, property taxes probably would have went up also.
But it's funny how certain things affect. You would think anything that affects the county will automatically affect the city,
Hmm.
but it's not so. That's not so.
Yeah.
And I get it. But when it comes to certain things, like you said, when it comes to the taxes and things like that, because if they do it, if they do increase the county, like you said, it'll be the Tuscaloosa County. So it's everybody. That's
Correct.
all.
Mm-hmm.
That's everybody.
That's how I
So
saw it. Mm-hmm.
when it came to the property tax, I can understand where they make the discretion at, but it still sounds strange.
So now it's back to the drawing board, and as I said, I do believe if since that didn't pass, um, I do believe now, back here, the county refused to, go up on the sales tax back here a couple when Northport and the city of Tuscaloosa went up on the sales tax. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if that's not a avenue that your county commissioners might take in raising more money for the county. Then again, they might not. So that presentation of the school superintendent to 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 lobby or request. I'm gonna use the word request. Um, the property tax referendum was done specifically by her. It wasn't a joint effort of anybody other than the Tuscaloosa County school system. But there again, we got to look at. And I want to say hello to Jess. How you doing, my friend? Jess. I just want to bring out the fact that we made some very interesting points about the transparency of funding and things of that nature being used in the school systems. And I mean, you know, like we said, if you're gonna concentrate on mental health, well, give me more details about what avenues are you gonna take to deal with the mental health. More resource officers in the school. I would think that would be something that the sheriff department will be asking the county sheriff for, or just the funding for that. But like I said, there are 35 schools already in the county, and I don't think the sheriff department can afford to actually have 35 deputies in the school system. So most sheriff departments don't have no more than about 100 to 150 deputies. So it will be tough to say that many will be put into a school system. So they're going to have to probably come up with a different um, avenue of that. And then they said, what else? School resource, mental health. Um, uh, uh,
And for Asian schools,
right.
that it's kind of like when they were saying they have some Asian schools that need some attention, but it was kind of like they was gonna patch up some schools and completely redo other schools.
Well, actually, Mike, it didn't really say anything about. Well, I didn't hear anything on that list that was saying anything about rebuilding schools. Of course, we knew it was going to be used for that, but there again, I'm still campaigning for Northport District 2 over there with Woodrow Matthews Elementary, and I'm not sure if Crestmont is in District 2, but those two schools are probably some of the oldest schools. Lordwood, um, Sprayberry now. All those schools are the older schools, and you got other new schools.
Inglewood down there on 69
Inglewood,
is very old school as well.
so and it's some other schools that old. I mean, you got View probably in the View area, probably up in the Lakeview area. Tuscaloosa County is a large area, but there again, it by having no real set plan or no set idea, no transparency about where the funds and how the funds going to be used. I think that was a big mistake on the presentation to the people. Um,
Because when the superintendent did come into to Tuscaloosa County Democratic Party's
mhm.
monthly meeting,
Right.
The schools that she mentioned were schools that were pretty much new, and talked about one of them's I think football field or something. It was update. It was basically updating schools that are pretty much considered new. The Lakeview area. Um,
Yeah, I think Brookwood was gonna be the
um,
military stadium.
the Lakeview area. The maybe something with 60. And if I'm not mistaken, 60 is fairly new compared to the rest, compared to Maxwell.
Correct.
I mean, not Maxwell, but Matthews, Inglewood. Those schools are new practically.
Yes.
Matthews, I don't even know. The last time I looked was on the inside of Matthews. That school just needs to be redone. Like if you don't, if there's a new school, they need a new school.
Collins, Riverside, Matthews
Mm-hmm.
Elementary,
I would
Sprayberry
say Matthews
School.
about the same age as the Head Start is in Alberta City, if not older.
And so when she presented, she didn't say anything about those type schools. She was talking about Lakeview. um, unlike or schools that had a pretty decent remodeling
Mm-hmm.
already. So I just really don't trust. I don't trust the I don't trust any of them. any politicians. Politicians don't know what politics is about until they become politicians. It seems like everybody wants to be a politician and wants to make promises, but they haven't even studied enough to understand and realize that you shouldn't make promises that you can't keep. No matter how many politicians do it, you shouldn't do it. And then they get heated and mad when you question them or when they don't seem to be fighting for the causes that most greatly help the people.
Right.
And she came in asking for that type of stuff. Trying, you had some people in that meeting that were like, okay, they were okay with it, but they were in schools. It was talking about the schools that they had attended, not the Matthews, not the Inglewoods. It wasn't talking about those schools. And but some of them still were adamant, and they were like a clear no.
Well, clearly those schools are in the district, in the county commission district 4, which in the city limits of Northport is District 2 for Woodrow over there, and those numbers or those particular schools wasn't even mentioned or hasn't been mentioned in a while for as any kind of assistance. So people have spoken. They voted it down. The property tax increase is a done deal from my understanding. And like I said, probably be prepared for a 1 cent sales tax increase, more than likely from the county standpoint, if there's to be any more uh, any more funding from the county. But at the same time, and I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure if it is a countywide tax coming from the county commission, then the city schools as well as the county schools will um, get funding, also more funding for their schools. So it's kind of like to me, it's like I don't do more for one child than I would for another. If I buy
Mm-hmm.
something, if I buy my daughter something, then my son wanted, I'm gonna try to get both of them something or all of them something, you know. And that's how I seen this tax. I mean, it was only this property tax was only gonna benefit the Tuscaloosa County school system. It's only gonna benefit the Tuscaloosa County school system. So, and people gonna say, well, the city council take care of the Tuscaloosa City schools. Why? Well, Tuscaloosa County is very, very, very generous for that budget go. All I can say is this: Hardy McCullum, when he was in office, he was very peculiar with that money. It wasn't gonna be spent unnecessarily, believe me. So the county was very well taken care of, uh, and I'm pretty sure they sitting on more than I think 8 to 10 years ago, might have been saying $60 million sitting in the budget. It might be more than that now. So there again, transparency. I'm pretty sure you probably could find out the information and how much money is sitting in the budget over there. But I do give credit where credit is due. Hardy McCullum definitely was a stingy county commission when it come down to spending. So he was very outspoken about unnecessary spending. So he took care of the employees. Well, they gave raises and they had great insurance benefits. County employees. So those two things I can vouch for that over the years I've seen. The deputies, the employees, they were getting 2-3% raises every year, sometime almost. So that's it on the referendum. We talking about the cultural diversity. I think it was brought up and brought to the attention that staffing at the at Hillcrest specifically, no African American administrators and very few African American teachers were at the school. So I guess my question now is, what is the answer for getting more cultural diversity in the schools, in the county schools?
But Daryl, based upon everything that I've heard, honestly, they don't see that as being a problem. And they're conducting a quote unquote investigation, internal investigation. But they're investigating themselves. And generally, when you investigate yourself, I don't know too many people that's gonna find a whole lot of faults within themselves.
Well, yeah, that's true too, Mike. That'd be just like saying, what do we find wrong? What do we see wrong with our school system, or what do we think is not wrong? Um, I'm not sure how their system works, but I'm gonna just, from looking at the standpoint from the city school systems. Certain schools, of course, have more African American student body and teachers compared to some of the other schools. I guess call it where it is. Even though a majority of Northridge is probably 50-50, or I wouldn't say no more than 55-45, and based on the fact that some of the children that comes to Northridge is actually probably bust in to make the numbers what they are. But for the staffing and stuff like that, I think a lot of the schools, or Dr. Daria has done a job of trying to make sure there is a quality amount of diversity for other race of teachers, and that's just going to be hard to say. There again, you just can't. It might be a field just like policing. People just not want to be school teachers anymore. Schools is one of those jobs, and I know Dion. He's on here with us, and he might can add some. He might can add some.
We also got Lucy on the phone with her.
Okay. But yeah, Dion Washington might can give us some insight for us. African American males wanting to be school teachers any longer, or what's going on. There's a shortage of school teachers not only in Tuscaloosa, but throughout the United States, because people not going into that profession because what? The pay is not worthy of what your profession is doing. Just like law enforcement. And we said this a long time ago. we value our music industry, our movie industry, our entertainment industry, which has to come up through a teacher or a coach to get to the level where they're at, but they're steady paying them more rather than or rather than paying the people at the root of the problem. Well, not the problem, but the root of the answer. In other words, school teachers um, create superstars or bright stars and meant on for us the education, get them interested in being scholars, I guess you could say. So until we put more money into policing and our first responders, you're gonna have a hard time of people not wanting to be in a particular job or good quality people wanting to be in that job because you are you are seeing almost every week somewhere about a school teacher involved with the students sexually. So that means you got a bad quality of bad judgment of a person in law enforcement. I mean, into the educational field. But go ahead. Our very own Miss Lisa Young is on the phone with us, the Tuscaloosa County chapter of the NAACP. How you doing?
I'm well. How everybody doing?
Good, good. We saw you.
We were talking about. You were talking about the pay of teachers. I think that we ought to compare the pay of teachers, the people who are like on ground zero, to that of the administrators. Um, Especially the Tuscaloosa school system, the administration is very top heavy with those salaries. But those are not the individuals that interact with the students on a day-to-day basis. Um, I know the last raise, Dr. Terry got a $6,000 raise. You know, that $6,000 could have been used to hire another teacher. I think I saw from he's one of the highest paid superintendents in Alabama. So, you know, I think that we have to look at stuff like that, especially when we're talking about retiring teachers. Another thing, you know, teachers don't feel like they have a support administration as well. They may not make a lot of money, but sometimes it helps to know that people are behind you as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I, being at the University of Alabama, we have like, there's always somebody applying out there, always. I don't know why, you know, their recruiting educators is so hard. I know they have to pay the pay differential between the employee, the actual teacher, and the administrator. But I'm wondering where they recruit them from.
Well,
That's a good question.
What'd you say, Veronica?
I said that's a good question, but you know, if they are recruiting, like okay, like I've said before, Atlanta, I mean Georgia, not just Atlanta, but just Georgia, different cities in Georgia, they come over here and have hold events in Birmingham at the hotels on I won't say monthly, but they do it routinely. They do it, they often do it. And people are often willing to take those jobs in Georgia. I know I think Huntsville has had a few events, but my thing is you have one of the highest paid mayors in this city, one of the highest paid superintendents in this city, and this is city, so I'm sure the county as well. That superintendent, I don't know how highly paid she is, but I'm sure that's a highly paid position. So why can't they recruit? And do they even recruit? Because when you recruit teachers, especially if you're going to do it on your states, which I know you can't probably recruit from New York or whatever, but you can do your surrounding states just like Georgia and Mississippi do. So when you recruit these from these different states, guys, like what are they offering? we would know if they were offering something because you would have teachers here to vocalize it. I don't ever hear teachers saying, "Oh, I came from so and so." You know, when someone's new in the community, then you get to know people, and maybe I just haven't heard anybody. I don't know anybody who's gotten to know a teacher that came from somewhere else that had great incentives to come to Tuscaloosa to work, whether it be in the county or the city.
Most people I know that's in the education field, they wind up having to go to Greene County or somewhere like that because they can't get a job in Tuscaloosa, so they or say they're not hiring or something like that. I've known several people.
But I mean, of the ones that have been hired, because they said there's a shortage, right? Like Darryl says, it's a nationwide shortage. So it's a shortage. But what I'm saying is, what do they offer? Do they recruit? That's my thing. Do they recruit, or do they just wait until like graduates from the UA who decide to stay in town come and apply? Because they're hiring. I know teachers. They may tell people they're not hiring, and I would like to know why. And they may not be hiring at certain times. But with what the complaints that they throw out to the public, whenever you question them about something, they always themselves seem to fall back on shortage of staff. So, are you recruiting? If so, where and what are you offering? Because like I said, I never hear of anybody saying, "Well, I'm from so and so, I moved here to teach."
Well, another thing, when you look at the beginning salaries and you compare that with the cost of living in Tuscaloosa, it does not make sense.
Doesn't match.
It does not make sense when you look at our medium income for the city of Tuscaloosa and you look at the average cost of a house now in Tuscaloosa. There is absolutely no affordable housing in Tuscaloosa.
Mm-hmm.
You see, for our property, our property went up, and the cost of living went up, but not. People don't have a livable wage. Mm-hmm. So you couple that with it, I can see why someone wouldn't choose to stay here. You can't make enough to live here.
And we're not talking about people who are like, like sometimes we'll say people want to come right out of high school and make $25 an hour. These are not people we're talking about. We're talking about people who are degreed, who have to pay for their degrees, who are most likely probably paying for their degrees and have to pay for their way of living and sustain their way of living.
Let me just say this right quick. Yeah, Jesse, call Mike's line 310-6067. I seen where you were calling in 205-310-6067. Normally when I click over, I lose everybody on my phone line. So yeah, please call that number. Yeah, I think Mike, he should be calling your line in just a moment.
All right.
So that's my thing. I just wonder, do they even recruit? Do they have just like DCH is having this hiring event? Even locally, I never heard Tuscaloosa City or County have a hiring event. So if they're not hiring, why not? When most classrooms are still too full.
I honestly believe I agree with you. I don't think I ever remember hearing Tuscaloosa County or Tuscaloosa City having a job fair to work in the school systems. So uh, that'd be interesting to see. I guess maybe they just put everything online and you should apply online. But if you actually recruiting, you have to do more than just throw it out there online.
Well, sound like it worked pretty. Looked like it worked pretty good for the for the increase in pay for the bus drivers. They did a very heavy campaign of recruiting bus drivers this past school year, and looked like it worked because I think the pay went up to like $21 an hour, um, and seems like you don't hear anything about lack of school bus drivers this year compared to what we did in the past couple of years. So I think
That's true.
I think they did a heck of a good job on recruiting because I seen signs all over town, everywhere, asking and saying, "Hey, starting pay $21 an hour." That almost, that makes somebody jump up and say, "Okay, let me do it for part time money for a couple hours a day, 4 hours a day, and you're doing something. You got insurance, especially those that want insurance at a good rate." So they did a great job of recruiting bus drivers, or at least fulfilling those positions. And that's probably what you're gonna have to do, like you say, for
I was just gonna say, Daryl, so why not do that for educators?
yeah.
Educators and teachers' aides and everybody else that you might need to be in the classroom with our youth. Um, it's like they don't put forth the effort for anything else other than that. Um, and of course, we all know we need the school bus drivers, but you also need educators and like we're talking about right now is why you have a school that lacks diversity in it. And when they lack diversity, they actually have no compassion for all histories. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's not important. We're going to teach you about our stuff. This is more important. And it leaves some people won't. I don't understand that part of it at all. I don't understand how we actually have schools that don't have at least one person of color in the administration role at each one of the schools.
Mike, I'm not sure.
Yes,
He
just
said,
me.
I'm not sure. Jesse said he was calling your line and said it was going to voicemail on mine, but he said I guess he tried to call for just a second ago. Just looking.
Yeah, and he can call. My phone ain't wrong.
Okay, okay.
So,
So we got Miss Lisa on the phone with us, and you see where the referendum for the increase in the sales tax, I mean for the property taxes failed. What's your take on that, Lisa?
Lisa?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we want quality education for everybody. Um, but I don't think that we can trust the current administration to do what they say they're gonna do. What it looks like to me is, and listening to Dr. Terry Johnson when she presented back in January to the Tuscaloosa County Democratic Executive Committee, she targeted certain areas. She talked about certain schools that really should not be a priority right now. So it led me to start thinking and digging, and it seems like the county school system is trying to do something similar with the Tuscaloosa City School did north of the river, build up one certain area. Um, and then like break off. And well, I know the city school system hadn't done it, at least not yet. But they build up an area, then break off and have it as their own. But they do it with the money paid by everybody in the county. When we look at the way money is distributed, we have to look at it not just as everybody get what they call a fair share, but an equitable share. The concentration should really be on some of these schools that, in my opinion, I don't know how you see a whole school in there. I have students in there. You're talking about Lakeview. Lakeview is failing this.
Mm-hmm.
But what about Matthews? What about Matthews?
That's what we were just saying earlier in the show.
So the referendum failed. I feel like if people really, we have other ways of raising money for schools for the schools other than raising people property taxes. The legislators, every time the lottery gets on the book, you have legislators running to earmark money for their special interest. You know, and I say it all the time, we ain't talking about healthcare, infrastructure, and education. You won't support it. But a lottery in Alabama would benefit the schools. So, I mean, like, we wouldn't have to.
I think it's time.
If we talking about that lottery, Lisa, I promise you, I used to live in Florida, and I know I've seen the schools in Florida, and all of them. I'm talking about all of them. You didn't have like an old regular school in Florida. I was in Tuscaloosa, Florida. The lottery paid for everything that went on in the school. Also, I think it paid for part of their Medicaid. I don't know if it's still doing that now because it's been a while since I lived here. But you know, when we were just talking about educational purposes, every time that lottery come around, and here lately we've been getting close to $1 billion. Every time you look around, and all you see is Alabama tags going to Tennessee. Alabama tags going to Georgia. Alabama tags going to Mississippi. Alabama tags going to Florida. And I think they said that's something like $55 million, at least $55 million a year that's leaving the state. Going to
well, I would imagine it's way more than that.
I would think so too. I think they just threw out a number of because everybody don't play every time. But you better believe that when
I'm sorry, did I lose your mic? Like I said, every time I try to switch over, sometimes it drops. Yeah, it dropped. Hold on, y'all. Okay, so I'm showing Jesse, Veronica, Miss Minor. You still there?
I'm still here.
Yeah.
Did Lisa call his
Yeah, Lisa
so
is on.
him and Lisa are gone?
Yeah, they on his phone line. That's what I'm saying. Every time I try to switch over on my phone line, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, when you switch up, did somebody call in?
Yeah, I got Jesse. You there, aren't
you? Yeah, I'm here. I couldn't get through Mike's line. It's like my phone was off on powered off when I was here because it kept going straight to his voicemail. So that's almost like it's like his phone was off in a bad place for my phone to pick up. So.
You know, I'm gonna tell you something that I'm hearing or what's going on. And watch, I might lose one of y'all now. Call him back. Hold on, y'all. Okay, Miss Minor, you there?
I am.
Jesse, you still there? See, that's
Still here.
Hey there.
Okay. I got three. Now I'm waiting on Mike. I'm waiting on Mike to see can we get
It's
him
probably
back.
gonna. It might drop. It might does it. Do you want us because you have to call Mike's number, but I don't know what's going on with his number, but it's probably gonna. I'm trying to figure out.
You may have to shut it off and let it reboot back up. Sometimes that'll help.
So when Darren gets ready to click over, so when he clicks over on his line, then it drops. So he can probably call. He should be able to just call right back in, but I don't know.
I don't think they realize.
So we're all on Daryl's line. Because Daryl's line is I don't know what right because that's why I have to call Mike's line. But his is gonna probably drop. I'm surprised all of us are still on here.
Veronica, see could you switch over to Mike and see could you get him to come in. I'm gonna take a quick commercial break for y'all do that and we'll get this straight. Hold on 1 second, y'all.
Okay.
Hello? Hey, Rick. I had to call you to tell you that the food that you brought to the party last night was wonderful. It made me think about my grandmother's cooking. Where did you get that food, brother? I went down to Thomas' Rib Shack to pick up the ribs, but when I got there, I seen that they had more than just ribs. I seen baked chicken, fried chicken, corn muffins, vegetables, apple pie, peach pie, and I looked around and I seen a sign that told me that they got chitlins and oxtails on Sunday. Oh, all I can tell you, go down to 2931 15th Street or just give them a call like I did at area code 205-759-5010. Thomas Rib Shack, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Nope, she's on the other line. Can you merge her in or hang or disconnect her again, merge her back? Hold on.
Well, first, they're just not gonna vote for it. And I know that, the students from Hillcrest asked people not to support it.
Lisa.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, hold. Daryl, Mike,
And
Jesse, Miss Minor. Yes. Is everybody on?
everybody
Okay.
on.
Yes, I can do Miss Minor.
Everybody on.
Hello, how you guys doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Oh yes, to you
Happy
ladies.
Valentine's
Happy
Day.
Valentine's Day, ladies. Sorry.
Okay, y'all want me to come in
Well,
or?
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
Okay.
sitting back.
I was, I was just listening to you guys talk about the referendum that failed. Of course, it would never hardly pass because of the land mass. You're talking about huge plants, you're talking about Gulf states, you're talking about farmland, and you're just talking about people with a lot of land in the county. So I wasn't really surprised that it failed. But there's one thing about this is we do need schools fixed in the county because we got the Hillcrest looking great. We've got a few other schools out there that looking great, but it's taking them really a long time to fix these other schools. So the schools do need the money, but trying to pass a referendum like that is never going to happen. People don't want to pay taxes on all that land. You know, they got that's that old school money, and it's just a lot of land. But I want to ask you guys something because I'm still stuck on what went on in Hillcrest and the AEA coming in like they the judge and jury talking to the teacher. I'm like, Mike, you're never going to tell off on yourself. You know, you judging yourself. So, you know, that'll never happen. And the AEA coming in like they the stamp of approval, like they the know it all about this situation. They are advocates for teachers and administrators. That's all AEA is. You join, you pay your dues, and you in with them. So, you know, that means nothing. But I want to ask Lisa. Lisa, what about all of these laws that possibly being broken in the education system? There's federal laws out there that we can go to instead of begging people to do what they need to do because they're not going to do right. You see, they're not going to do right. And what do you think about that, Lisa? Have you looked into that federal law? I'm so glad you brought that up. We have been contacted by the Department of Justice. Um, this Saturday we're having another forum. In that forum, we're inviting students, not just Hillcrest, any school um, in the county and city. I mean, if you from the city and you feel like you're being treated unjustly, then yeah, We want parents to come. We want, even if there are teachers or employees of the system that feel as if they might have some information to contribute. When we gather this information, the Department of Education has a Department of Justice division. Turn it into them and allow them to do the investigation. In our meeting yesterday, one of the things that I was adamant about was letting them know that we were not going to permit them to investigate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That has never worked. And that's just not something that makes sound sense. Especially if you're trying to identify and eradicate the problem. Mm-hmm. So if the problem is the individuals that are investigating themselves, what do you think is going to happen?
They're gonna find themselves innocent.
Oh, absolutely.
And
they've already gone where they're saying and other stuff that was alleged happened.
Well, Mike, we got emails to us that shows that that's not true.
I'm with you because I've been with y'all since the beginning, and I know the difference. But I know what they're saying too. Ever since the beginning, they've been trying to walk stuff back because they didn't feel like people were going to get involved, other than the kids, and they don't feel like they're going to tell the kids, y'all just do what we say and shut up.
Well, these are kids. These are kids, and so when you're calling them in the office one at a time, when you're interviewing them in small groups, that divide and conquer. Lisa, I'm through with that. I'm through that shit.
Well, we need to be, Lisa, and I'm glad you said the Justice Department is contacting to see what's going on, and hopefully we'll investigate. In the meantime, Hillcrest and all of the schools, whether it's in the city or county, need to set up a hotline source. Because I looked into Tuscaloosa County to see what they have, and they have something like a gaggle speak up for bullying hotline. That's what they have at Hillcrest. Why don't they have a hotline for greeting, where students can call in? And it's also good for them to put it in writing. Shoot email to these principals. Even if they call them in a group or one at a time, you say, hey, thank Dr. So-and-so. We had the meeting on this, that, and other. We need to have some type of paper trail.
Yeah, that's important.
Deborah, what we've done is we've created a form, and it's on the Tuscaloosa NAACP website where individuals can go on there and access it and report any incident of concern. And it's a great form. It's a great form.
Okay. If you guys don't mind,
I gotta say one thing though. A lot of the people that are involved in bringing this stuff to the light have been receiving all kind of threats and everything. That is, to me, that's the epitome of them not wanting to change the culture, and they're threatened at the fact that we're standing up saying something about what's going on down there.
If you guys don't mind, I'm sorry, Mike.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you guys to re-enlighten us on what specifically is going on, especially me, because I've been here and there and been not quite in the loop as I usually been in the past. But
the short and long of it, it was brought to our attention that Hillcrest was not going to allow the students to have a a Black History program. And if they did, then they weren't allowed to speak of slavery or civil rights. That was the catalyst that started everything.
Okay.
And it also opened up the eyes of other things that were going on at that school as well as in the county.
So they pretty much trying to invoke cancel culture, you know.
Yes.
What they call it? What they call it? What's that new term they got now, Veronica? Where they try to do away with talking about slavery because we've been in the past and
Black history.
No, it's
I know. What's the acronym? It's an acronym they use now.
What you're talking about is CRT,
critical race theory. Right. Exactly.
But we have to remember that if it happened on U.S. soil,
it's history.
Allowing them to attach a term to it and to discount it is authenticity or relevance in history is neither here nor there.
But you want to know? Yes. And you know something? Not so much that, but I actually asked some white citizens, which they're European Americans, as we are African Americans, European Americans. And most people in the South, unlike most, you go up north, you go to the northern states, most of those, European Americans, they acknowledge their culture. They know their culture. The Irish, the Italians, the Germans and Jewish, and these people actually practice and know their culture. But the further you get in the South, you ask some of these Southerners down here, they don't even know where they come from. They don't want to know where they come from. And therefore, they're afraid for us to learn everything about where we came from, because then it'll show who they are trying to forget.
I have a question, please. I'm sorry to cut you off. I have a question. Why, as African American, as you said, Jesse, everybody, the Irish, the Jewish people, white people, everybody, Caucasian, they know where they come from. They know their history. Now, my question is to African Americans, why aren't you teaching your history to your children? Period. We must do that. But the thing about it is, what's making me mad, we're trying to push, even though African American history is American history. It needs to be told, and y'all may beat me down for this. I think at the appropriate age. Now, I went to white school, elementary school, black school, junior high, and black and white mix from junior high all the way up. We had history. We had black history. Black history was included in the chapters as we went up and up, or the further back we went when we started off. We had the history. But my thing is that if you're in elementary school, it's for me as a parent, I want to preach appropriate information. Now, I'm not saying that Black history is not appropriate. It could be like George Washington Carver, for an example, things like that. But when you go deeper into that intersexuality, stuff like that, I don't think that should be put in school. And that's part of critical race theory. They got that in there.
How is that? Okay, I don't understand that. How would that be as far as our Black history, when we want to know our culture, we want to learn our culture and how and why we are who we are. And we all know that, slavery took a lot out of that. Our ancestors were in fear practically all their lives, from the Europeans that were here because they feared being killed, hung, and brutalized. So that brainwashing from those decades, from hundreds of years of that, it put our ancestors in the mindset that they were afraid to even talk about where they come from. So over those years, when you're afraid to even have a discussion because you were afraid someone from the other culture that brutalized you would hear you and then would kill you behind it, you were a closed mouth. You never spoke of it. So over years, it became common not to speak of it. So the more common it came not to speak of it, the more watered down things became because now things start to fade as time goes along. So all the culture is faded away because out of fear of what could happen to you if the wrong person saw you practicing it. So at this point in time, we're at that point in time now where our kids don't know anything about where they come from and where their ancestors come from, except for little bits and pieces of slavery.
Is it the parents' fault? Isn't that the parents' fault?
But
the black parents' fault. It's that all, you're not teaching it.
Well, it's all because even our parents, they didn't feel a need to teach it because maybe their parents didn't teach it. It slowed down. It got to a point where over time it just fizzled out because now to our parents, they so busy trying to live and survive the overall the slavery aspect of life and what all that took place on our culture that other things took a back seat to our culture. It became more of a survival thing now. And our only survival to them probably is trying to live as under the radar as possible. You bring light to yourself when you do things differently. And people see you do things differently. And of course, white folks had brutalized our people for literally nothing. So at that time, they are afraid to show where they come from because they are in fear of their children being killed and their relatives being killed and their people being killed just for trying to be who they are. So over time, you learn to live without it, just to live. I couldn't even imagine what those people, my ancestors, went through under that sort of tyranny. I couldn't imagine it.
No, let's bring it up to 2023.
We are. It's called CRT in 2023. That's what it's called.
Okay, it's critical race theory. Theory. Okay. If I don't know if you've read it or not, I'm not against everything about critical race theory. I do believe that history needs to be taught. Where it began is a child at the age of 6 in the first grade through 11 years old. Is their mind ready for that deepness of critical race theory? It's a deepness.
I understand what you're saying. It's levels to everything.
Yeah. Exactly. Excuse me, y'all. This is Lisa. Yeah. We teach theory all the time in school. When we talk about behavior, there are so many theories. It is in criminal justice, it's in social work, it's in psychology. Everything is theory based until it comes down to Black history. So saying that it's just theory, well, theory is informed by the historical context of what has happened in the past, and you just apply a scientific term to it. But it has it's informed by real events. Right. So we have to go and do like a little code switch when people say that every time someone says it, to me I'm like, here we go again with the bullshit. So I teach theory all the time when we're trying to explain deviant behavior. Right. No one has said
or no one has ever said, "Oh my God, we can't talk about theory when we're talking about criminal behavior."
No.
Or when we're trying to explain why juveniles act the way that they do. We apply theory. When we talk about poor neighborhoods, we apply theory. So for them to even say it, we just got, there always has to be a consistent pushback, but it has to be worded in a way where you just kill that whole argument. Like, when do we not teach theory? And if you just ask that, when do we not teach theory in school? Everybody shuts up. Nobody can explain to you.
And on that same level, what I was speaking of, in what you're saying, ma'am, also you got to look at this. When you go into start teaching factual history of our Black history, it's so much that they have taken credit for that is ours. They don't want us to. They don't want us. They do not want us to learn and know about what is really truly ours. What we created. We created mostly everything. I'm sad to say, I'm not saying it to put any other culture down, but in America, it is our culture that created everything. It's like years before I even knew who invented a lawnmower. Honestly, God said, ain't no way in the world a white man invented a lawnmower because he wasn't out there cutting no damn grass. Excuse me. I said that when I was a kid, and it was just me making that statement as a kid, just out of a theory, saying that.
I think that some, because as we talked through since this whole thing has been going on, as we talked about, I think some use CRT as a way to remove the guilt that they may feel, and it's a way to claim racism against the majority, or what's now not coming the majority, white people. It's a way of claiming racism against white people. That's why they don't want it. That's why they're saying if you teach all these things, all of this stuff is based out of race. It's based out of race about how it's based out of race and the things that how race has affected us as a society, as a Black society, as a white society, and as a society as a whole. And instead of them saying, well, yes, these racial concepts or these racial qualities have happened in social world, the economic world, the social economic world. It's because of racism. They no longer want to say that anymore because it makes them feel like, oh, wait a minute, if we acknowledge that, then we'll acknowledge that things have been done wrong. And they feel like it's a way to make things equal without addressing race and making things universal. That's not true. You can't make things equal unless you address race. Hence was the affirmative action. That's why they came up with affirmative action. You can't address things. You can't make things universal and leave race out. You just can't. Until who will ever know when we've gotten to that point? You can't leave things out. If you want to, you just cannot. Whether it's on like I said, a social economic status, social psychotherapy, all of that. They want you to leave race out of it and address things as if it's equal when we know racism still exists. And then we're saying that, well, it's going to create racism for white people. Well, Black people have dealt with racism since the beginning of time. And it's not going to create racism for white people. It's not.
Exactly, Veronica, and to have an administrator tell students, stop discussing some or addressing some in a program makes other people feel uncomfortable.
Well, they should. You should feel uncomfortable if it's wrong.
And that's true, but let me ask you something, Donna.
It only means you're raised right.
How many times have you heard them say that talking about the Holocaust made them feel uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm. But here's the deal. This is how I see it. I know we ain't got off of Hillcrest and how what we need to do about Hillcrest. But my thing about it, what was that saying? I was going to look it up. What did Malcolm X say? Malcolm X said something like this. These people,
a man who allowed his enemy to educate his children.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the thing about it is that we keep, as African American, I'm going to be through because I know it's getting late and I really want to talk about Hillcrest and what we can do, but we went off into the critical race theory. But my thing about it is, we're black people. I mean, you didn't have 400 and some years. You've been saying it for 400 and some years in 2023. It's 2023. We getting ready to live on Mars or the moon or whatever. We flying out of here. And we still talking about what we need to get into people who know the history. They know just as much about this history as we do. We're into trying to change people's minds and change people's hearts. Get off of that. Do what you need to do. Go teach your own kids. I did it. I taught my own kid black history. What black family is not teaching their kids about their roots? That to me is just kind of crazy. And what we need to do with Hillcrest, we need some men. We need some men speaking up. I'm kind of tired of seeing all the female. I love you, Lisa. Saw you on national TV, and I'm about to call everybody. Look at Lisa on TV, whatever. National TV. It's out there. The Justice Department's going to handle that end. Let's get with these kids. We have to protect our children. We have to go in these schools. We need to put up something at Hillcrest. I don't know what the protocol is for those kids addressing their issues. If we can set up something at Hillcrest, maybe a council or something, and get these African American kids to get off the basketball court, the football, the football field, whatever, on the dance line, and get into politics in their schools so they can do better. Hillcrest is 55% African American.
Well, Miss Minor, as you speak of that, let me inform you something, and why I truly support Lisa, and I'm truly happy with the strides that she herself. And I'm just going to say this: it's not a disrespect to anybody. Pastor Evans has done wonderfully. He's done smart. There are other people, Mr. Hold on, can I speak? Let's see, we got to learn to let each other speak without cutting each other off. Because when you say something, you take a person's train of thought. Okay, Lisa has done wonderfully. When we get to Lisa, I'm going to address Lisa last, Pastor Evans has opened up his church to a forum. There will be another forum on this Saturday. We have to get people to come out. We're talking about teaching our own kids and things like that. We know this. We know we have to do that. But what I'm about to say is that as far as this issue, like Ms. Myers said, she want to talk about here, Chris. Pastor Evans has been wonderful. Joseph Eatman has been wonderful. Reverend Will Williams, he came out of SCLC to the forum. Daryl, Sonia, power couple have been wonderful. And those of us who are members, we support any way we can. But what Lisa has done, she's gotten criticism from her own people. She's gotten criticism from white people. But Lisa has taken this, and it's been on a national stage all last week. We were on all of the MSNBC shows. She made an appearance, her and Jemima, on Lawrence O'Donnell's show, which was not hosted by Lawrence O'Donnell that night. It was Lisa, what's his name? I know his name. It's just see, that's what I mean when I say because it starts to Capehart, Jonathan Capehart. See, you'll just get people's minds off of other things and start to go, why? That's why I say that. Because I just had this mind up. It was Jonathan Capehart. He was on, that is a nationally syndicated show. Lawrence O'Donnell had Lawrence and it was in Lawrence. And I love Jonathan, he has a weekend show. But this is how much attention that Lisa, as the president of the Tuscaloosa County chapter of the NAACP, has drawn to this issue. The other people have been marvelous, have been wonderful. We continue, hope they continue to do what they've been doing. We've had a church opened up to us. Sometimes churches won't do that. But Lisa has created a forum where people can file agreements, where people can keep up and have written documentation. When I say people, I mean the students. Because a lot of times people love to say these young adults, let me tell you something. These are kids still. They are under the age of 18, most of them. Some of them are 18. When they're out here trying to approach and talk to some of these adults about some of the issues, they're not listened to. So we have to be there, and we have to be on one accord, at least somewhat of an accord, that they can come to us and say, hey, we can't get this done. It seems like they're not listening. They are still kids. Don't give kids too much of a reign that they can't handle. We want them to be respected, and we want them to speak up and to listen. But they are still kids. And if they're 18 or 19, if they're in school, then they're considered a minor and they're kids. So they need some adults. Let's not give them the reign too much. You've heard of the saying, their kids too grown. We don't want to make them too grown yet and give them that much thought that they have that much to, because then they start to become disrespectful. They have been handling it correctly as of right now. Jemiah and all the kids that came to the church, yes, they're young adults. You can call them young men and women, but they are still kids. Lisa has created a form that she puts on, that's online, where they can have documentation. They can share their grievances. She's taken this nationally. Mr. Simonson came down to the press conference. I was at the press conference. Darryl and Sonny was at the press conference. But you know, when people have their feet dug in, they're making this thing to the point where, you see how we're having to fight this hard. They're making it so that they can just look at us in front of a TV camera and look us up and down and say, whatever. That's how bad this thing is getting. It used to be when you brought cameras, just like Birmingham in the 60s, when you brought cameras and they saw Bull coming and them doing what they did, that changed things globally, not just nationally. So Lisa is changing things nationally. And when you're on MSNBC, that becomes global. So believe me, she's doing a lot. She's doing a lot. Yes, like her or not, and a lot of people in this community are they're being divisive because so many people want to say, I was this and I did this and I did that. How about, who cares who did what first? She's getting the footwork done. That's right. And she'll be the first to tell you that she's not the only one. But she's gotten this, her and the NAACP has gotten this on a national level. Has gotten this on Sirius XM. So sometimes we need to work together instead of quit trying to run it, call this and call that and call this and call that and be the first one to do something. She has gotten a lot of things done. She and Sonya this week, I said Darryl, Mr. Eatman, Bishop Evans, things have been getting done. Excellent. On not just the local level, state level, but the national level. They were on Joy Reid. Joy Reid mentioned this. They didn't say the school, but we knew what they were talking about. A school in Alabama had a walkout. That's only Hillcrest. And it all ties into the CRT and all this other discrimination that's going on. So we were on that show. Not Chris Matthews, but the 3 shows after that, from about the 6 o'clock hour down to 9 o'clock. And that was all because of Lisa and the NAACP pushing this nationally. Mm-hmm.
And I applaud Lisa. I applaud Lisa, and I applaud every worker, because it takes full circle. It takes a circle. It takes a village to do all of this. And when you go on national TV, there's a huge spotlight, and we need to keep that spotlight nationally, and we're going to keep it here in Tuscaloosa. So, I'm in 100% applaud everybody who's working hard, but we definitely need to show Hillcrest and any other school that, hey, we're here for our children. Our children.
Thank you, Veronica, and thank you, Ms. Nevin.
Mine.
Mine, Lord, you know what I mean. But the one thing that I've seen in the past when issues have come up is you'll have people to go in, and they seem to befriend the people that we should be addressing. They come out, there's no real resolution, there's no real change in seen, and I think this is what led those students to start reaching out. They were afraid that people were going to come in and they were not going to see real change. Based on what I have, the information that I have received, people need to be relieved of this. They just need to go and find something else to do, because we know ain't nobody in education trying to get rich, just a college. But when you out here, you're missing these kids, when you're talking to them in a kind of way, when you're levying when you put stuff in their personnel files, that to me is a form of psychological bullying.
Mm-hmm.
And it has long-term effects. It traumatizes children to the point that when we see them in college or when they are trying to do something, they don't even have like the self-confidence. They tell themselves they can't do something before anybody else can say it no.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't I'm not trying to act like I'm hard or anything like that. But I'm not trying to be nobody's friend. I ain't trying to get on nobody's damn committee. I ain't trying to come to your damn party. I ain't trying to hang out with nobody. What I'm trying to do is change what the leadership looks like within this entire school system. When you have individuals that get into fights, when you have school personnel that get into fights, and then you put that individual in a position where they have students suspended and arrested for fighting. What message is that sending those children? And that's why we have a principal that has been arrested, called out at a ball game. When you have individuals over there having sex with students that are being promoted and moved to other schools, when you have white teachers walking in the rooms of black teachers cursing them out, nobody has been disciplined. That sends a message, that creates a toxic environment, and that the only thing I'm trying to do is collect enough evidence so that these individuals can be held responsible for what they're doing. Because they seem to forget when you accept them federal dollars that there are rules and consequences attached to that money that you receive. They seem to forget that these individuals that they are targeting deserve to be treated the same way as their peers. When the principal's son sits up and goes on social media and calls individual lies to discredit students, saying that the whole everything is based on a lie, and then I get an email from the principal telling me don't talk about his son after your son has been on social media. Basically, the email I sent him back was like, "Fuck you." Hmm.
Well, you don't tell someone not to talk about something that's been put on a public platform.
On a public platform, you know. No, but when you have individuals that go down there to their school that the students think is going to advocate for them, and the next thing you know, they out here bragging about, oh yeah, I'm gonna be doing this with the students, I'm gonna be doing that. It's ridiculous.
Hey, let me ask y'all something.
That fails those students.
Yeah, it does. And it starts in elementary school. Like you said, it starts in elementary school when the kid gets beat down. We're talking about it's just a lot to go on. But here's the deal with the kids and that sort of thing. Let's not get who cares what people say. Let the people talk. Go ahead and do your job. Do what you need. Do what you need to do.
Right. Miss Maya, if you have been involved with something, she does somebody thought about me.
I know they don't, but I'm just giving you some encouragement. Quit, leave them alone. Keep moving. Because if they talked about Jesus, if they talked about Martin Luther King, if they talked about Moses, if they talk about you, man, these people are just trying to stop. We've been had that in the black community forever. And then on top of that, coming from the white and coming from the black. Forever. Just like them five police officers. Black. We beat the shit out of them.
We had an individual come on that was on their show that overheard me say when this first started, the last thing we need is for anybody to go down to that school clean. And y'all have not, that ain't the first time you heard me say it. That ain't the second time you heard me say it. That ain't the third time you heard me say it. I say it all the time. It does more damage than people realize. That individual went on social media and talked about me as if they know me.
Okay, well,
and the coon don't know my middle name.
Okay, we don't worry about that person. Please, we don't worry.
Know my middle name.
Listen, don't get off into that.
But what I'm saying is, I never said so don't need to go down there. I said we don't need anybody going down that coon. Now you tell me, when you apply discernment, why would you think I was talking about you?
But anyway, that's just leave that alone. It go with the territory. If you get in a fight like this, you're in a fight. People gonna shoot at you every which way. You just have to keep your eyes on the prize and keep moving, because distraction takes you off of your path. So just leave that mess alone. Leave that mess alone. All the hearsay people calling, you ain't even got to answer these folks' email. You don't even have, just keep doing what you know you need to do. Because when you get distracted, you lose focus and then it blows up. So just leave that mess alone. Don't worry about it. Go pray, go meditate, or do some yoga or something, and clear your mind and be ready to fight tomorrow.
Miss Minor. I understand exactly what you're saying. And the good thing about it is, I think people understand too, because she definitely can multitask. Because like I said, because of her involvement, it's gotten more local attention, national attention, international attention. It's gone global. So what you're saying is exactly right. And it takes a strong person to be able to multitask like that. Because I'm just going to tell you, I don't have much tact, and I would have addressed it and continue to do it too. But Lisa addresses it, and she doesn't let it bother her. It's just like water off a duck's back.
And that's a leader. That's a leader. That's what a leader is.
We want to see at the end of all of what we want to see. We want to see better representation. We want first of all, I want the county school system. These students that we saw, and anybody that was at that forum, they saw it and they know I'm not making this up. We saw students shaking, crying during their passing out if they were talking about the things that had happened to them at Hillcrest High School. They need to be paying for these kids to have some form of therapy, treatment, intervention. Because you don't traumatize a child and then leave them to heal themselves.
That's right.
You don't do that.
That's right. That's right.
If there been a shooting at that school, they would be paying for counselors, outside counselors, to come in and offer counseling to those students.
Okay. So
when you have a student that says that she was assaulted and then arrested, and she's so upset, somebody, she needs to talk to somebody. We need to heal that child. So that's one thing. Another thing. Teachers, you have one in-school suspension black teachers, 2 paraprofessional black teachers, and 3 teachers down there on emergency certification. And that is basically the racial comfort, black representation at that school. That's a problem at the central office. So this thing is multifaceted. So
you need those feet.
When we get finished, what we want to see, there needs to be a black principal over there at that school. And I'm not saying fire the white person, get them out of there right now, but if their problem is part of the problem, they need to be fired. But why isn't the board? See, we got the school, we got the county, the central office, and then we have a school board. Each level needs to be held responsible for that school having no black administrators over there. And the racial composition of the instruction over there.
I got a question.
Like we spend billions of dollars on this BS. When we talk about critical race theory being BS and they trying to cancel that, let's cancel the diversity, equality, and inclusion initiative, because it's just talking points. It's just individuals trying to get ahead of something so that they can control the narrative. No, they spend all this money on DEI initiatives and then do absolutely nothing with it.
Mm. Well, that's what we have to change. But I have a question. Everyone knows African American who are holding a position. Why aren't they helping these students out? What's their what are their voices? And one other question I keep on forgetting. Let's call some names. Put some names out there. If this person say this teacher said this, put some name on it. Call her name. Call his name. Let's put some names out there in the air as well. So, it's a lot going on, Lisa, and I know you got a heavy plate. That's so just keep on pushing, keep on praying, and all those other people like Bishop Evan. Bishop Evan is my guy. He is as real can get. We all behind you. I'll see y'all on Saturday. What time on Saturday?
At 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock at Evans Church, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. I'll be there. Everybody just keep on pushing,
But
keep your head up.
let me say one thing before you leave.
Okay.
There are so many people out here that are calling up to their school, that are sending emails up to their school, that are going up to their school, that are making sure that the administration at their school know that somebody is going to be held accountable. So the other people might be doing stuff behind the scenes, but there is pressure being put on them. So don't think that other people in the community are not lending to this.
Mm-hmm. I know that.
Because just like Pastor Doe was at the walkout and with some of his congregational members helping to make sure that everything was orderly and done properly. You have Veronica, you have Mike, you have Dale, you have Sonya. I done got calls from Tuscaloosa City Council people, let me know what I can do to help. Um, on the phone with Bernice King, Dr. Bernice King, staff. What do you need? So it has the national attention. We just gotta identify what we need, what we need to push at, and people gonna apply pressure. And that's all that happens when you apply pressure, right? You're gonna end up with a beautiful diamond.
That's exactly right. So that's what I'm saying. Keep on doing what you're doing. You got everything in order. It's organized and it's there. So we just keep doing what we're doing, and I'll see y'all on Saturday. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Good night, Mike.
With that being said, y'all, it's 22, so y'all know that's usually the time we usually get off around about 10 o'clock. We started a little late tonight, so I guess we're gonna go ahead and do it tonight. I'm not exactly sure if we lost Daryl or not. Daryl, still with us?
I'm still with you.
No, Daryl's still. Nah, he's on the sleep.
About to go, but no, I'm still up with you.
Yeah, that's why I said I better go ahead and close it on down, because we'll be here all night talking about this one.
We can, Thursday, we can pick up where we left off on Thursdays.
We will make sure that because we don't want this to be one of those things that's hot for a minute and then it cools down. I don't think that it is.
No, that's not gonna happen.
But definitely gonna keep it in everybody, because the more and more people find out about it, the more and more people get upset about it. And they want to be a part of changing the culture in Tuscaloosa County schools. So that's the one thing that need to happen. And once again, we start with the county schools. We try to change the culture in the South, period, with all of this. It's just, that's it. Quick shout out to the YCL. Those are young adults that actually helped start getting this thing pushed out. And they're also a very big part of everything that's going on too. So I don't want to overlook them. With that being said, there we got anything?
Yeah, Thursday. Don't forget about the District 2 meeting that's going to be held at Central High School, not the McDonough Hughes Center. It's going to be held at the Central High School. Direct time, I'm not sure. I want to say 6, but to be safe, 5 o'clock. Be there at 5. I mean, they're going to be.
I got one last announcement. I actually got 2. We have the forum on Saturday, but we also have a block party that's going to be on Sunday at, I think, what is that time? I think 3 to 5. I'll send you the flyer. Is it 3 to 5 or 4 to 6? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And also the NAACP is having a blood drive this Friday at the McDonough Hughes Center. And there I see that flyer as well. People have already signed up. I want us to have to turn people away for the blood drive. So I'm asking everybody to sign up, come out, support it. You don't want to be on the other end of it and you need blood. And in an emergency situation. So y'all let's come out and support this endeavor.
Okay. Right. And one more, Darryl, that is the correction to the job fair for the We Stand By You at DCH. It hasn't changed from this Thursday to March 9th, 5:30 to 7:30. March 9th, 5:30 to 7:30.
Okay. And I want to say Utah was having a job fair coming up too. Green County.
I know Fed is having one for nursing assistants on February 22nd. I believe it is. And Fed. So Utah, they may be having one as well. I'll look to see if I can find more on that one. But if you find it, share it with us, and I'll look for it between now and Thursday too.
Okay. But yeah, I'll see the one on in it. Oh yeah, Miss what you call wanted me announced about a financial workshop that's going to be held at St. Paul Baptist Church from 12 noon to 2 p.m. on Saturday, February 25th. So I have that up also on Thursday. But don't forget about the town hall meeting over at Central High School in reference to the new Benjamin Barnes Branch YMCA and Liberty Recycling Center being moved and some other things. So the mayor will be there. I will be going live with the information if you can't make it. So we will be able to get more into it, and depends on how long it goes. I mean, that might be the show for the night or that night. Or we might be going on a little later than that. It just depends on it. But plan on being there if you can at Central High School. And if I see a flyer or something, I'll post it and let everybody know.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, y'all be careful, man. We got some inclement weather coming up. They're supposed to start in tomorrow, but Thursday's supposed to really be bad. So
and they might reschedule it due to that. They might reschedule the meeting due to the inclement weather that's possibly coming in. So I'll keep everybody abreast on that.
Okay.
All right, y'all.
All right, y'all. Have a good night.
All right, y'all have a good night.
Y'all too.
Tuscaloosa, get ready for the TTown Memorial Day Weekend Blues and Grill Festival, Saturday, May 27th at Palmore Park, featuring O.B. McKenna, Avail Hollywood,
Is you 25 and
Arthur Young, Tucker,
They call me Tucker.
TK Soul, Miss Jody, plus Donnie Ray and the J. Morris Group. Also a special